All right, folks. So we are going to be responding to a podcast with Fleur Hassan and Dalia Ziada. And Dalia is an Egyptian-born Muslim who fled Egypt because she was criticizing the Muslim Brotherhood. She managed to escape. She moved to Washington, D.C., and she now works for an organization that is fighting for pro-Western values, Israel, the United States, etc. So before we get into it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments, follow me at Rafi the Realtor for all of your real estate needs in South Florida, and you can support the channel via the Buy Me a Coffee link in the pinned comment or description. Let's get into it.
Egypt, I escaped Egypt, chased by the Muslim Brotherhood. They have one goal, which is destroying the West.
And this week, I'm at the CUFI conference in Washington, D.C., Christians United for Israel, meeting the most fascinating speakers with some incredibly revolutionary ideas and just an opportunity to meet like-minded people. Now, I have an old friend who's been on our show already twice, my good friend Dalia Ziada. Dalia, how are you?
I'm so happy to see you, so happy to be with you.
It's so great to see you. The first time I interviewed you, you told me about the terrible experience you had in Egypt when you basically came out and said October 7th was bad, you were persecuted, you left, and you came to America. The second time I interviewed you, you told me about the terrible experience you had in a college campus when you went to speak about the Middle East and somebody tried to poison you, for God's sake. But now you're in a better place.
Oh, I'm in a much, much better place right now. I remember the first time we spoke, it was my first week in the US after I had to escape Egypt.
Yes.
And I was in hiding.
You were in hiding?
Yes, I was.
And I remember I put a picture and you said, don't say where we are.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Now here I am sitting with you in Washington, D.C. Now I work as a Washington, D.C. coordinator and research fellow at ISGAB, the Institute for the Study of Global Antisemitism and Policy, and academic research center, fighting the good fight, fighting the right fight, not only for the Jewish people, not only against anti-Semitism, but for liberal democracy.
For civilization.
For civilization, exactly. Against all the forces on the right and on the left, and all the bad religious ideologies that want to destroy the Western civilization from within. I'm now very excited to say that I'm part of an amazing team that's fighting this fight. And I feel like it is my revenge, Fleur. I'll tell you one scene that will summarize this. In October 2023, after October 7, I was running from Egypt. I escaped Egypt, chased by the Muslim Brotherhood, the Salafists, even my fellow Egyptians who considered me, my own government, who considered me a traitor because I spoke out against Hamas. This was October 2023. Fast forward, October 2025. I was walking out of the White House with my boss, Charles Small, whom you've interviewed in one of your episodes. And after we met with senior officials in the White House, offered them a report that I participated in writing about the Muslim Brotherhood. And they told us that they are going to designate the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, and the news is coming out in a few days. Imagine this, how, like 2 years.
What closing of a circle. The same people that persecuted you and had to make you leave your homeland, you were part of designated as a terrorist.
They put me here to be in the White House,
advocating
against them, and witnessing this moment of them being designated before anyone else. It was, I remember.
That was called karma.
This is an amazing, thank God. I mean.
But you were part of that.
I was part of that.
They should have kept you there. Look at the damage you did to them.
I know exactly. Perhaps they regret it now.
Oh, I think they do.
Yeah, but I'm so lucky. Like, I found my own people, like the right people who were able to really empower me the right way to do the right things. And I'm really happy I'm part of this fight. Because this is what I've always believed in, like, liberal democratic values. That does not only belong to one place, does not only belong to the US, does not only belong to Israel, but to any human being who believe that freedom is something,
Is this primarily the work that you're doing right now, Dalia? What type of research are you doing?
So in ISGAB, actually, we do all, first of all, what makes our work in ISGAB different is the people and the quality of the research. So the people, we have an amazing team of tens of researchers, like speaking about like over 40 people from all over the world, from different backgrounds, different specializations, different also religious and cultural backgrounds, which really enriches the research. And the other thing, the quality of the products. We don't just produce like, short briefings that everyone does in DC or any other capital city in the world, but high caliber academic research that I saw with my own eyes policymakers here and in Israel, by the way, also everywhere, and even in some of the Arab countries where we also have very good contacts in, they were hungry for. Because all what they got is just the surface, like surface information, like only people scratching the surface. But no one goes as deep as we go, analyzing the ideologies, threatening the United States and other Western countries, connecting the dots between what's happening in the Middle East and what's happening here, which not many people are doing. Especially facing all these claims of anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism, all are related. So I believe we're doing something special. And again, I'm so happy to be part of that.
Are they listening, Dalia? Are the policymakers listening? Are they doing something about it? Do they feel the threat now?
So actually, not only listening, but they come to ISGAB now to train their personnel in different big agencies in the US on how to deal with radical Islamism, how to deal with the protests happening everywhere, to give them a clue of what these slogans mean, that the people are using, who they are, analyzing even, our most recent projects that we've just started is about the DSA.
Yes.
And the Democratic Socialist Association, which actually
they should have called themselves the Islamists.
Exactly. They have nothing to do with democracy as an ideology threatening the United States, threatening the Western world. So we discuss all of that, and we work on all of that. So and yes, policymakers are listening. Policymakers keeps coming to us. Not anymore. We are approaching them with information.
They're coming
to us, asking, please help us understand this. Please help us connect the dots about this and that issue. So I believe, yes, we are I would say, okay, thank God this administration understands the level of the risk, the level of the danger, because otherwise I would think if we remained with the previous administration, we would have been in a very bad place right now.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people who don't want to see the threats, or it challenges their, I guess, their own lens of what other people, how they behave or what they do. I think a lot of people are naive and want to believe that other people think like them, and they don't understand a completely different ideology based on completely different values. They don't get it.
The problem is that for so long, they thought that radicalism, Hamas, and all these groups, and Iran or so, is the problem of Israel.
Yes.
Or the problem of the Jewish people.
Yes.
They did not understand that the end target of this hate is the West. It's not only Israel. It's not only the Jewish people. And actually, the targeting of the Jewish community in itself here in the US that we saw in the past 2 years was not accidental. It was not happening just as a reaction to some war happening thousands of miles away. It was intentional and well planned. And why the Jewish people in particular? Because if you see in all the literature of these radical groups, either the communists or the Islamists, the red-green, in all their literature, they have one goal, which is destroying the West. And to destroy the West, you have to look at the pillars that the West is standing on and destroy them one by one. The biggest pillar, actually, at one point, was the Christian ideology. Now, the Christian ideology is not as strong as before. Ironically, most of the West today is post-God.
Yes.
What is the only pillar that is still so strong, focusing on the collective identity? By the way, also, and their collective identity is not only religious, but also about these liberal democratic values.
Yeah.
Values this concept of freedom. It is the Jewish community.
We're in the way.
They are in the way. So by targeting them, by using Palestine, by using the so-called Palestinian cause, by using anti-Zionism hatred to Israel as a platform to stand on a legitimate cover or a politically correct language to stand on and attack and undermine this Jewish pillar that is still keeping the West standing strong.
It's a very smart strategy. The Muslim Brotherhood understands that they can't simply beat the West militarily, but if they win the hearts and minds of the young generation, they can weaken the West to the point where they can infiltrate and defeat. And it's working. And so leaders now have to wake up. They have to educate their children. Israel, thank God, has a young generation that understands this. They just haven't had the choice. But because the West or America is in such a good position, safety-wise, they don't have direct threats to the country. Well, they do, but they're not being threatened by a major army invading. The invasion is the slow creeping invasion, the birth invasion, the invasion on campus, and that is an invasion, but it's much more gentle, quieter, stealthy, and so people just either they either aren't worried about it, or they're the ones being indoctrinated by it.
This is their goal, and that's why we saw all this hate.
And I will add to that and say that in the last year, we've seen an added layer of this hate, and that is the targeting of the evangelical Christian community. We're here at CUFI this week, Christians United for Israel, which I believe the Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamic forces also identified as getting in the way of separating the United States from Israel, separating that bond that creates that defense force, field force against Islamism, totally targeted this year.
Of course. I mean, also groups like CUFI and other groups, they are doing tremendous work actually I believe they understand the threat that I told you, I just spoke to you about, which is by protecting the Jewish community, they are protecting themselves.
Yes.
They are protecting their country and their civilization. That's why they are taking this risk. And of course, Islamists will continue to try to hammer a wedge between Israel and the United States. Communists also. Why? Because they know that they strengthen each other. By the way, it's not only the United States is important for Israel and for Israel's strength, but no, look at Israel today. Israel is the strongest horse in the Middle East, really the strongest power in the Middle East.
Yes.
And if the US want to succeed globally, not only in the Middle East, it has to put its bet on the strongest horse, which is Israel. Israel has been a tremendous ally to the US, intelligence-wise, military-wise, economy-wise, and it is the only democracy in the region. Yes, it has problems now, but it is the only democracy in the region.
Yes.
So Israel is equally important to the US. And by making this split, the bad guys wins.
Dalia, you're an expert in the region. How do you see the Gulf countries at the moment? How do you see the alliance between the UAE and Israel? In my opinion, it's stronger than ever. But then you've got the Saudis, who have been very, I want to say, flip-flopping on where it stands. And I know that MBS has got his own internal pressures. How do you see the situation post the Iran war, that we're not sure what's going to happen, and the Gulf countries who themselves were attacked by the Islamic Republic?
So what's happening inside the Gulf, if we focus on the Gulf states specifically, especially after the US-Israel-Iran war, kind of a diplomatic earthquake.
Yeah.
That is going to make so many changes. And let me explain very quickly where this earthquake is coming from. So the Gulf region is the only region within the Middle East that was not shaken by the political events that happened over the past 2 or 3 decades, including the Arab Spring, including most of the
They tried in Bahrain, but Saudi got involved and they...
Yeah, but I mean, they were the most stable area in the Middle East.
Yes.
Now, for the first time, they are inside a war. They found themselves inside a war as Iran was already shooting at them. They have to defend themselves. And for the first time, they test how far the US is willing to go to protect them.
How did the US do with this test?
Very badly.
Exactly.
And to their shock, they now don't know, okay, does the US still worth the money we are paying to host their bases if they couldn't protect us? Actually, Israel was more supportive to the UAE more than the US was to any other Gulf country during this war. So they are asking themselves question like, should we follow the UAE or should we follow Qatar? Example, like, should we follow UAE model or should we follow Qatar model? Israel or the US now? So they have this big question. There are so many disagreements inside, but I think eventually this situation will keep moving, will push them to the direction of making peace with Israel, or not peace, normalizing relations with Israel, inevitable. Because otherwise...
What are their options?
What's no other option?
There's no other show in town.
Exactly.
I mean, unless they want to go to China, but then they get themselves into all sorts of trouble.
They can't. They tried. Saudi Arabia actually tried that. And actually, I give credit to this to someone who said it, that Saudi is known for polygamy.
So they've tried with different partners.
They tried with the US, with China, with Iran, with Brazil, with everybody, you can imagine. So, but they know still that US is the boss in the Middle East, and Israel now is the strongest power in the Middle East. So sooner or later, they will have to make this choice. And actually, I heard that while Lebanon was taking the steps to normalize with Israel already, or make peace with Israel first and then normalize relationships, Saudi said, no, wait, we want to do it first.
Really?
I heard this from people really inside the process.
That's interesting.
So Saudi wanted to take the show first, like, oh, we did it first before Lebanon. And so this is how they are thinking, unfortunately, which is not wise. And why Saudi is so confused? Because
I I don't always like saying I told you so because I don't want to gloat, but I've been saying on my channel for a very long time, peace through strength is the way. People do partnerships with Israel, many under the table. They do all sorts of importing, exporting. They want what Israel has. They want their ingenuity, their genius, their innovation. If you can provide value, people want the value. People will much sooner partner with Israel because of its strength than its weakness. The world cries and complains about this nonsensical genocide. At the end of the day, if a country wants to ensure its security and Israel has what it needs, countries will partner with them. And so you're going to see the more Israel shows its prowess and its strength and its pride, more and more countries will start to align with it. The world tries to portray Israel as this pariah state. I guarantee with every fiber of my being that if Israel does what it's supposed to do, finishes its wars, stands strong, things will change for the better. It is simply the pressure that Israel has to be able to handle. And Dalia puts it so succinctly. And I think it's so powerful coming from a Muslim hijabi woman who just fundamentally understands these principles.
They also trying to play a role that is bigger than themselves, which is being the big sister in the region. They have been the big sister in the Gulf, but in the region wide, they still need a lot of training to get to this, you know.
Doesn't that all depend on what happens with Iran?
Of course, big part of it will decide how Gulf states in the future will act, but there are also integral problems inside.
Majority of its population is traditional and probably quite anti-Semitic in general because of their educational system.
Absolutely, but yes, but Iran is a very important factor still. It all depends on whether this regime will survive,
Yes,
or it will go away and a new Iran will be born. We still have to wait and see, because once again, the US decided to change course last minute, and we don't know what's going to happen next. But I hope eventually the people in Iran will be able to have their freedom.
I agree. I think that whatever happens, whether the US comes back in or not, it must be the beginning of the end of the Islamic Republic, mainly because of the way they've behaved to their own people. They're broke. I just heard that now their oil exports have been suspended again by the US. I mean, this is not going to a good place. And so I pray that this is the beginning of the end for the 92 million people that live in Iran, but also for the peace and prosperity of the region.
It is, but let me tell you, actually, the one who decides the future of the region now is not Iran.
It's Trump.
Not the US. It's Israel.
Israel?
Yes, in so many ways. Israel, I would say it is strongest power. Maybe the only rival now is Turkey. We know the direction of Turkey. They will try to push into this evil direction for as long as they can.
Yeah.
But Israel should, recalibrate to the moment before the ceasefire was signed last year, where it was at its strongest moment, very focused on its goal, not only crashing Hamas, but crashing Iran, the head of the octopus. And if they can go back to this point,
we need to get there.
Definitely. I mean, yesterday, Hamas came out and said, we will dissolve. And, these people started to celebrate, oh, Hamas finally is good. But actually, it's a lie.
The whole thing is a lie. There's no disarmament. Hezbollah will never disarm. If we don't disarm them, the UN are useless.
These are terrorist organizations.
Exactly.
You cannot.
They can't be anything else.
They won't listen to diplomacy. The only way to deal with them is military actions. Who can apply military action in this case? Israel is the only one who can do that. So really, my message to the international community through you, stop tying Israel's hand. Let Israel fix the region. It was already going to fix the region 10 months ago, and you stopped it. Enough of intervening in the Middle East. If you don't know how the Middle East is run, there is a new boss, local boss, emerging right now, which is Israel. Let it do the job. Let's, for the first time, see something different in the Middle East. And I really believe in Israel so much. I believe Israel is the one who is able to drive the ship of the Middle East to the right direction.
Well, God bless you, Dalia. I'm going to take some of that confidence that you've given me and the Israeli people back to Israel. We wish you all the best of luck. You're doing incredible work. You've always done great work. But now you're really flourishing in what you're doing, and you're helping us make a better region. So God bless you, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Fleur, for everything. Thank you.
Wow, that was quite an episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I will actually be speaking with Dalia soon myself. Fleur and my buddy Mike Gamal connected me. So I look forward to having that conversation with Dalia myself. Leave your comments, like the video. You can support the channel at the Buy Me a Coffee link by clicking the Buy Me a Coffee link in the pinned comment or description. And you can follow me at Rafi the Realtor for all of your South Florida real estate needs. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, peace.